Hello, next community. I thought I'd make a video showing my little delving into creating a 3D model by combining two models from a shareware library as my hip surgery has been delayed again. I had too many diabetic sores on my legs for Dr. Hug to do the surgery, which is frustrating for me. So I am scheduled to see my regular doctor and a dermatologist. So as I am back home, it was quite the adventure. Uh, they had put this message that the surgery was canceled on the website on an obscure message system that I don't use often, and his assistant had called. I just wanted to kind of go through this just to get it off my chest, um, and so I sent the photos. He said he'd call back. Long story short, I loaded up my cat because I was figuring I was staying at my mom's to recuperate for a week, as she has some nurses there on site. And it turns out the doc had looked at the photos instead of texting me, or I guess having Kaiser's message system give me an alert. I load up the cat, drive to Denver, and my mom's 87, and so it was probably a good thing I was down there, as she just had her hip replacement surgery. I go into the bathroom, and my mom falls off a step. I think she might have been reaching for the cat, trying to pet her, face first on on the tile, with the nurse on duty like right behind her. She couldn't catch her, and I was like, "Oh my god!" As I'm going to open the door, I was like, "Mom," you know. To make a long story short, she cut her arm a little bit, bump on the head. The hip replacement did hold, no broken bones. The cat, as you can hear Bella down here contributing to my little video, meowed all night, right? And the doc calls at 7 o'clock in the morning. Surgery's been canceled. You have too many sores. And I understand that. I don't want, MRSA 3 month stay in the hospital 2.0. But I sure as heck wish somebody would have called me back the day before, sent a text, rather than posting it on this Kaiser Permanente site. The other thing that's frustrating for me is I receive a letter from St. Joe's, the hospital where this surgery is going to take place. This is the second time it's been delayed, is parting ways with Kaiser Permanente on January 1st, right? And I'm thinking, is the surgery being delayed to push it past the point where St. Joe's and this wonderful doctor are no longer associated with Kaiser Permanente? I can't get an answer on that one, but I'd sure like to know. So in the interim, I sure as heck am going to see if I can clear up these sores, which are not my fault. I can't control diabetic sores or psoriatic sores. I'll try. At any rate, so what's printing here on the screen as I'm talking away? Well, I wanted to do kind of a tribute to Steve Jobs, and I found a couple neat um, 3D models already out there. Kudos to the original authors. One was an Apple 3D logo, and the other was a bust of Steve Jobs. And so I've noticed I've got I'm overcoming these learning curves. As you can see, as I've moved the mouse down, I figured out a way that you can limit the amount of filament that's purged in between. Okay, doing your two colors here. And it seems like there's a lot of rigmarole. Like, I wish there was a way that I could highlight which section I would like it to print all one color first, come back and print the second color. Because, I mean, this is a 9 hour and 21 minutes left print, right? That in theory, if I would have done it in one color, probably would have taken an hour. So there's obviously some learning curve that I have to overcome. I'm learning all the different tools by watching different YouTube videos. Thanks all you creators out there for teaching me what I need to do. I'm already going to save a ton of filament. Like, for example, this gold filament. If I hadn't adjusted the purge factor, it would have used about 2/3 of it. You know, these filament rolls are about $24 each just on purging. Because I was able to go in and adjust, I'll show you here in a second. If you go jump back to prepare, right? So prepare over here on the left. You have flushing volumes. And then you can set them here, right? And sync. So I'm just going to click that. You click flushing volumes. And you can kind of tailor these so they're not just burning through your filaments every time this thing kicks back and forth. Now, I do have a little bit of a red tag here, but I mean, things just going bananas. It's stopping like every few seconds to jump back and forth between colors. And it's obviously something I'm doing, but this multiplier, at 1.0, the number of spent filament goes up by, tens of yards, and this stuff isn't thick, or cheap, I should say. So I need to figure out how to set it up correctly. As I say, I've only been doing this a week, so there's a lot to learn. But here's my little drawing. This tower thing here, too. From my understanding, it doesn't need to be anywhere near this thick, at all. And I think that it just kind of follows along and prints. I didn't even know that thing has to be in there. I don't really understand what it is yet. But here's my little deal, okay? So I decided to take a bust of Steve Jobs and mesh him with the Apple logo. So it's kind of fun, and it looks good from all angles. And I'm hoping that it will turn out 9 hours from now. But it's kind of cool, right? And it took me a while to get these two to mesh together. So now I know how to do stuff like that. As I say, if it would have been all one color, this thing would have been done. It's already been at it a couple hours. But it's neat to see how it goes through and does all this stuff. Now, I'm thinking there must be a way to highlight this whole Apple section to print first, and then come back and print the bust of Steve second. I also have learned how to add what's called a raft, which gives the model, keeps it from separating from the plate. So it puts literally a raft down under your model here. And then something called the tree. So all of these little parts would sag. But this tree deal over here, let's see, I can show this stuff, I think. Well, it's still printing. I'm trying not to screw up the print because I don't know what all happens when I start mucking around while the print's going, right? I'm a noob. But at any rate, you can go in and I believe it's global, and you can enable support. There's different kinds of support. And the tree means it's going to build literally branches to all the areas that would sag without being connected to these roots like the nose and the glasses, and you could break them off carefully later. I also am learning about, making the walls thick, because you know a lot of these drawings have really thin walls, so you can add support to the inside of them to make your model higher strength. At any rate, that's my little video for tonight. Now, you know, you click preview here and it kind of shows this. I'm hoping that it's not going to screw stuff up, really. So this will show you, and like over here on this right one, you can kind of go back through the layers. This shows all the steps to make this thing, slide this back and forth. As I say, I don't know what happens when I muck with this stuff and there's an active print going. So if I go to device here, it's going to jump me back to device. I can start this up, right? And it'll show me the video. Now what's neat about this video is I can monitor it from anywhere on the planet. And also I've learned that there's spaghetti, you know, so the AI built into it will tell me if there's a spaghetti breakaway loose. And I can kind of see from this print, I'm going to start moving it more towards this area so I can actually see with the time lapse that's set up here, it's recording all this. So I can post that, which it's neat, you know, and it shows the whole model being built. And you can kind of see over here on the right edge, you know, it's throwing down these stripes every time it's having to change the bloody filament. And, you know, that's just two color. I probably should swap these around as the white color was the main one. So I should have this filament probably in slot 1. You know, and that might have sped it up quite a bit. But for now, I've learned that it's important to have the nozzle temperature at 220 and the bed temperature right around 55. It seems to like that. Throwing down a raft means it's going to stick. The other filament that I have down here is ABS, and that one seems to like the temperature around 250 to keep it from warping. And I'm always going to throw down a raft or placeholders, and that's well worth it because, you know, this printer's smart enough that it should prevent some of the warping if it's set up right for the prints. I've, you know, been fairly lucky. It looks like it is starting to form an apple here, so I'm on to something. And, you know, it says what, 9 hours from now? So rather than just let this thing run for 9 hours, you know, it could be like one of those sleep videos. Listen to the sound of the 3D printer printing the Steve Jobs Apple sculpture. Hey, if it's cool and I figure out, you know, if I can make it all one color, it might make a neat little like ornament for the Christmas tree or your Hanukkah deal or, you know, Kwanzaa or whatever, you know, or a desk ornament. Who knows? So stay tuned. More fun stuff to come from the black hole. I'm really bummed I'm not sitting with a new hip right now. This is so frustrating because I've had this fractured hip for over a year. And I'm starting to look online. Can a fractured hip heal itself without all this waiting for, you know, all my dot the I's and cross the T's? I mean, everybody else, they're going through, this guy's doing 4 operations a day, and somehow I'm screwing shit up. Pardon my French. So, have a good evening. Now, I just need to figure out how to turn it off, and hopefully it'll save. Right, there we go. Right? Did it record? Tell me it recorded. Yeah, it recorded. Good.